It's Dr. Kennedy here at Every Chiropractic, and today I'm going to give you the big talk, the perfect storm talk. So I've given this a couple times in the past, so if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Hopefully you'll learn something new this time around. So the plan for today is to gain better awareness of the issues at hand, get answers to those pressing questions, and to give you action steps that can help your little ones with sensory processing disorder, autism spectrum disorder, all of those. So all of us had 2 rules growing up. Don't call kids names and don't do drugs. So autism, ADHD, sensory processing, Asperger's, oppositional defiance disorders. In our office, we don't put labels on your children. We strive to strengthen what's right in them instead of removing what is wrong. We don't put kids in a box based on their diagnosis, sensory processing disorder, ADD, ADHD, or any of the rest. Our job is to analyze and treat subluxation in your children in a pain-free and drug-free manner. So, what is a subluxation? Well, it's caused by the perfect storm. So the perfect storm is a mixture of 3 different types of stress in the body: chemical stress or toxins, physical stress or traumas, or emotional stress or thoughts. So some physical stresses that children can experience are in utero constraint, birth trauma, which are some examples are forceps birth, vacuum birth, cord wrapped around their neck, C-section, especially an emergency C-section, childhood falls, kids slip and fall all the time, car seats if they don't fit right, baby Bjorns, bouncy seats, all of those cause a lot of physical stress and trauma. So chemical stresses, toxins, they're everywhere in our lives. Preservatives, pesticides, processed foods, a lot of sugar, grain, dairy-based diets are very inflammatory, and that inflammation in the body can contribute to subluxations. Environmental chemicals, household cleaners, detergents, and pharmaceuticals, all of those side effects are really harmful to the kids. So a study looking at the amount of industrial chemicals and pollutants in umbilical cord blood found 287 chemicals in that blood, and 180 of those are known to cause cancer in humans or animals. So we can do our best to prevent that by living a more natural life. However, those environmental pollutants are really hard to avoid. So the last T in the thoughts, traumas, and toxins is thoughts, so mental and emotional stress. So some of the stresses that children go through, even pre-birth, are stressful fear-based pregnancies for the moms, stressful forced emergency deliveries, NICU stays, fast-paced, high-stress lives, getting labeled or diagnosed, bullying, family stress, fighting, divorce. Now with virtually no routine or normal life due to COVID restrictions, kids are even more stressed and more frightened now than they ever have been. So, to understand chiropractic, I need to give you a little bit more background. So as chiropractors, it's our job to help the nervous system function at its best by removing subluxations, which are areas of restriction in the spine causing irritation and inflammation in the nerve roots exiting the spine and causing a lot of problems. So they're caused by the 3 T's, the thoughts, traumas, and toxins of the perfect storm. So if the nervous system isn't working properly, our bodies can't integrate or understand all the information that we're getting from our outside world, which can be called a sensory processing disorder. And it's not so much about the actions of your child, it's about the cause of those actions and their response to the bigger environmental stressors. So there's a lack of perception and coordination that happens when your child is subluxated. And our job is not to give you a bigger and better band-aid to treat the symptoms. It's to enhance the innate ability of your child to regulate the body and function at 100%. So, subluxations. Whoops. There we go. Subluxations. The recipe: physical stress, chemical stress, emotional stress. and the results are the 5 Ds. So dyskinesia, disapparentation, dysautonomia, and dyspinesis leaves your child feeling disconnected. So when we say subluxation, you should think stress and sympathetic nervous system. We'll get to those in a bit. So the first D is dyskinesia. So when subluxations happen, a joint in the spine becomes fixed and misaligned. So it loses its ability to go through proper range of motion. So, I kinked my neck, I twinged my low back. So the problems start physical, but they don't stay physical. So first we look to the spine for the cause of disease. That is the chiropractic way. We as chiropractors are having conversations about the spine and the nervous system because the spine holds the spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord are the central nervous system, and all of the nerves that go everywhere inside your body and regulate everything inside your body come from the spinal cord. So if there is an area of the spine that isn't moving correctly and causing irritation of those nerve roots, that's going to cause problems down the line immensely. So, birth in the spine. This study, I know it's really, really hard to see. If you'd like a copy, let me know, comment below. This is dealing with somatic dysfunction in newborns. So somatic dysfunction is movement problems of the spine, or subluxations like we've been talking about. So 100 healthy newborns were examined for subluxations at birth, and 99 out of 100 newborns had at least one area of subluxation 6 hours after birth. So no wonder so many babies are having trouble feeding, sleeping, digesting. They're subluxated. So with this dyskinesia, that bad movement, we get disapparentation. So the input controls the output. All the issues that kids have look like output issues, behavioral issues, etc., but really they're input issues, specifically movement and coordination or sensory issues. So the behavior or symptom that your child is exhibiting is not the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is the dyskinesia, or lack of proper movement in the spine, causing disapparentation or improper communication between the brain and the body. If you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. If you have dyskinesia, you're going to get disapparentation. So there are actually 7 senses that we have in our body. Touch, taste, smell, sight, sound are the 5 that we learn about, but there's also movement. So proprioception is good movement, and nociception is bad perception of movement. So nociception can also incorporate pain as a sense. And then the vestibular sense is balance and coordination. So proprioception and the role of the spine. We get neurological stimulation from movement. It charges the brain's batteries. Over half of the neurons in the spinal cord are there specifically for that specific function. So 60% of proprioceptive input comes from the spine, and a third of that comes right here from the upper neck. So it's all about movement and input, spine moving correctly to get that vestibular information, that proprioceptive information. So when you have a misalignment, it can lead to fixation, and then we get that fight or flight, sympathetic stress stuck on. It's not just stuck bones, it's your nervous system stuck on the gas. You're in sympathetic overdrive or fight or flight. It's like having the engine of a Mustang but the brakes of a tricycle. Your body can't slow down. So subluxations gnaw at the brakes and keeps us from getting to a natural rest and digest state. So when you have subluxations, you have decreased proprioception, or good movement and information from the movement, and increased nociception. And this leads to dysautonomia, or a state of imbalance or dysfunction in the autonomic nervous system. So when I say autonomic, think automatic. That controls your organs, glands, blood vessels, and your major systems like your immune system, digestive system, and endocrine system. So the vagus nerve is one of the most important cranial nerves in the body. Not saying that it's more important than one or the other, but it sure does a lot of things. So vagus means wander. The vagus nerve starts its journey in the brainstem and exits the spine at C1, so the first spinal level in your neck. And it travels throughout the body and gets information from organ systems and organs such as the heart, lungs, pancreas, adrenals, bowels. Did I say stomach? Probably said stomach. So if you're having symptoms like irregular heartbeat, asthma, or exercise-induced asthma, GERD or reflux, high blood pressure, blood sugar spikes or drops, Crohn's or IBS symptoms. Those symptoms are happening elsewhere in your body, but the cause of those symptoms could be a subluxation at C1, preventing that area from moving correctly, dyskinesia, causing abnormal output of the nerve, dysapparentation, leading to downregulation of those systems, dysautonomia. So the vagus nerve is the body's brakes. We were talking about when subluxation happens, your body starts to get the stress stuck on. So the vagus nerve is the brakes. It's involved in social, emotional recognition, expression, speech and communication, sensory regulation, calming, digestion, slowing down the respiratory and cardiac systems, and it's also a huge player in immunity. So if the vagus nerve isn't working properly, you get all of these issues, and a lot of these issues are tied to an autism diagnosis. So this leads to the fourth D, or dyspinesis. So dyspinesis shows up in energy-based challenges like ADHD, sensory processing disorder, autism spectrum disorder. It is all of the symptoms caused by the previous Ds. So it's a reversible state consisting of unnoticed, misdirected neurophysical reactions to various agents. So environmental, bodily sensations, emotions, and thoughts, and the repercussions of those reactions throughout the organism. So it's essentially all of the side effects from all of the rest of the Ds stuck in a state. So we have the ability to measure these outputs, which allows us to see exactly what's happening in the nervous system. So in our office, we don't guess what's happening in your nervous system, we test. So we do 4 different scans. We do the static EMG, electromyogram, or energy from the muscles to the generator. So this measures how accurately the brain is receiving input from the muscles surrounding the spine. This is the first sign of that garbage in, garbage out that we were talking about earlier, and it shows us dyskinesia and dysapparentation. The second scan we do is a thermal scan. So it's infrared and takes the temperature on either side of your spine, shows us how well or poorly everything is working behind the scenes. It shows us dysautonomia. The posture scan that we do is a baseline front and side view. It shows us if there's anything structurally that we can help with. It shows us postural imbalances and compensation patterns. It shows us dyspinesis, so the end result of all of these stuck patterns. And then the last but not least, definitely not least, is the heart rate variability. So this measures your resting heart rate over 3 minutes and allows us to see how well your body is adapting to change in the environment, and shows us dysautonomia as well. So I'll give you one example of a chiropractic success story in a child with sensory processing disorder and ADHD. So he was having trouble in school, having mood swings, trouble listening, constantly moving, and his doctors diagnosed him with ADHD. So if you notice, these are his initial scans. Those black bars mean very severe. So his total energy output should be 100. It's over 1,300 in this initial scan. His body was working way over time to just have him stand and be alert. The thermal scan shows a lot of nerve irritation and a lot of unevenness in temperature variations throughout the spine. So the scans on the right are after 9 visits. You can see more colors on the graph, which, there was still a lot of progress to be made, but it's going from 1,300 to 460 total energy, and the thermal scan is all cleared up except for right here. So when we take these scans, we notice a lot of the time that the symptoms kind of move up and out. So this is a great healing pattern that we love to see, and that's after 9 visits or 3 weeks of regular chiropractic adjustments. That's amazing. So the action steps I'm going to give you today: decrease the 3 T's in your child's life: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Increase their ability to adapt. That's our job. So get them adjusted so they're working at 100%, and find out if we can help. Make that new patient appointment. So our offer to you today is $100 off your initial exam for you and any immediate family member when you mention this webinar. I hope to see you in our clinic soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.